Hello everybody and welcome to Chop and Brew. I am Chip Walton, aka Kid Crawfish. I got my crawfish beads, I got my Joe Cane Mardi Gras beads because this is a very special episode. And by special, I mean a food experience that is very near and dear to my heart. Crawfish boils. As a guy who was raised in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama, the Gulf Coast, I participated in more than my fair share of crawfish boils. Now, living in Minneapolis, St. Paul area of Minnesota, you can imagine there's a severe lack of crawfish boiling going on. That's not the case though. Chef Tim Glover from the food truck Cajun to Go is bringing that experience to the way up north from the dirty, dirty south. So what you're about to see in this episode is Chef Tim Glover and his crew from Cajun to Go doing a small scale crawfish boil in Tim's backyard, 30 pounds for 10 people, and then a much larger scale feeding 300 pounds of crawfish to 100 people at Summit Brewing Company, spreading the gospel of Cajun cuisine and having a dang good time while we're at it. So check out this episode. Chef Tim Glover, Miss Lori, and the crew from Cajun to Go is about to school us on the art of crawfish boiling and why it's so important to the family structure of the Bayou folk down in Louisiana. Check it out. It's a blast. Do the crawfish. Do the crawfish. Do the crawfish.
Chef Tim, Cajun to Go. Cajun to Go is New Orleans and Louisiana in Minnesota, particularly in the Twin Cities. So this year, we're starting something new, and we're going to do crawfish boils at some breweries and some private parties, enjoying that side of Louisiana, which a lot of people have not experienced. One of the obvious things is the water has to be in the pot, and you want that water level to be at the right level to compensate for the weight and the product that you're putting in the pot. So keep your eye on that first. The first thing you want to do is bring the propane fire all the way up to a boil, and you just turn on the jets and you open it up all the way. Now, once you get that pot up to a boil, what you want to do is add the spices that you have. Your swamp dust, your cayenne peppers, anything that, and then of course some liquid Zatarain's crab oil. I better not say a name though, or do I? It's okay, Zatarain's crab oil. So go ahead and add that in there and get that water and the granulated spices working into the water. So when you do put your shrimp and or your vegetables in there, that they're wet enough to really take it in. We got to prep the crawfish. So one of the things that we do is if you have to hold it, you can hold it on ice for about a day. So we had to hibernate the crawfish on ice. So we went ahead and added that ice on there and held them for the time that we could. Once you're ready, you take them off of the ice, empty that bag, and then you'll go ahead and put them in water, and then we put a lot of salt. I would say, we purge them. We want all that yucky bayou to go out of them. Any of that mud that they've been eating, they get rid of it. We kind of help them by doing that, by adding the salt and then purging them through water. We purge them a couple of times, that way we don't have to deal with that later on after we boil them.
Dumping out water along the way and refill it.
Right, refill it, go ahead and put more salt in, fill it, empty it out, take it back again, just the water of course, not the crawfish. Then you go ahead and fill it up with water, and then put the salt in again, and then one more time, and then after that you will go ahead and rinse them off with water finally. Now at that point they're ready to go in the fire. And your fire should be up enough. Grab your paddle, go ahead and stir and make sure all of those spices are just churning in the water. Then we take our basket that goes inside of the pot, and we put those crawfish in that basket. And then together we'll take our paddle and lower it down in there. There's the most important necessity part of the spicing is the lemons for the seafood, of course. The lemons, you want to cut them in half and squeeze them inside so that seafood picks up that good flavor. And then onions. What Cajun does not want onions in their food? We use big yellow onions. And then of course, full garlic cloves are also in there, and what Cajun doesn't want garlic in anything that they eat too. So throw the whole bulb of garlic in. You throw, I quarter the onions and drop them in there. At that point, we're only boiling those crawfish for about 5 minutes. That's it. Once they're boiled for 5 minutes, you cut them off. So go ahead and cut the fire off. Grab yourself, what we did that day was we grabbed ourselves about a huge, maybe 15-pound bag of ice, and we added ice to it. And go ahead and stir it in there and let those cool down. We're gonna let the crawfish set for about 20 minutes, just setting in everything. Because those juices, so we stop the cooking process by adding the ice, and then we let those juices set inside and get underneath the shellfish. At that point, after the 20-minute process, go ahead and lift up your pot with the paddle. It's important to have that paddle because you need it for your boat, and you also need it for this crawfish boil. So go ahead and lift it up, drain it, completely drain it through, and we take an empty ice box and we put some Tony Chachere seasoning in there, and we put crawfish and another layer of crawfish and more Tony Chachere's sandwiched in between it, layer after layer after layer. Cover it back up and let it set. At that point, we're gonna go ahead and do our vegetables. The potatoes should go first because it takes the longest time to do. And then sausage would be last. Corn on the cob, second to last. Same thing with our cauliflower being second to last. We let that boil for about 5 minutes. And the lesser time for the sausage, maybe 2-3 minutes. And it's already cooked sausage. So then we go ahead and bring it up, and then we're gonna do our shrimp for 3 minutes, and then we're done. 3 minutes, and the shrimp shells automatically pick up all of the seasoning. We will put some Tony Chachere seasoning in the bottom of a separate one for the shrimp and shake them up inside of there too. And I guarantee you that's gonna be some good eating. So yeah, the newspaper's on the table and everybody's watering at the mouth. So we're ready to put this out on the table. Go ahead and take the boxes that you have. I suggest that you go ahead and put crawfish first. Don't smother your crawfish or your shrimp with the crawfish because they'll continue to cook, and you don't want that. And spread it as much as you can without, getting it off of the table, because you don't want to do that. We don't want to waste product. So a lot of people ask me, how are you supposed to eat this thing? Well, you'll find out when you come to Summit, but you got to pinch the tail and you got to suck the head. And then you give it a twist. And then you suck the head. Take another layer off. I'll take 2 off. And then you pinch it right there. And you should be able to pull it right off. And then I got sauce. That's good, Boudreaux. This process is not silverware or forks or knives or nothing fancy like that. What it is straight diving in there and getting your hands full of it and just throwing and watching out for Boudreaux and Thibodeau and just having a good time and enjoying yourself. One of the things that is so important is keeping family together, and crawfish boils do that. And it brings family and it brings friends together, and this tradition has been passed on from generation to generation, and all those Cajuns, they've been doing that with their families and probably will continue to do as long as the swamp produces crawfish and the Gulf of Mexico produces shrimp. I like doing crawfish boils because, well, number one, it's my roots. Well, I'm from Houma, Louisiana, and I learned about it because we did it with our families, and my dad and my brother and I, we went out and caught crawfish, and we went out and caught shrimp in the Gulf of Mexico and crabs, and it's something that I've always done all my entire life as a child growing up, so it's a good life. From a chef's point of view, the fun of a boil is getting all of the different proteins right, like your crawfish and your shrimp, and the timing has to be perfect on it. The right amount of spices that go into it underneath the shell, making sure that it gets underneath the shell. If you're interested in doing this at home, don't be afraid. Don't even hold back. Get into it. Order yourself some seafood or contact me. I'll be happy to just coach you along, whatever you need. It's something that you should experience, and it's something that you should enjoy. Some of you guys that are from home, you know you want to do this. So get back into it. From all of us at Cajun to Go, to all of you, chop for chop, brew for brew, we'll see you on the bayou.
There you have it. Consider yourself schooled in Crawfish Boil 101. Compliments of Chef Tim, Miss Lori, and the whole crew from Cajun to Go. It was a very awesome experience. Both of those crawfish boils, the small and the large, the backyard and the brewery, because I've gone without that kind of experience for many years. So one thing I did want to throw out there, Chef Tim says if you can get them fresh, you obviously want to boil these day of. In the story, he mentioned hibernating them on ice for a day. But when he did the batch at Summit, he flew them straight up from Louisiana. They got delivered straight to the brewery, and they were put in the boil. Now, if you live closer to the dirty South and you can get them fresh, obviously you want to use them as quickly as possible. Another thing that I think is an interesting point, as you saw in the video, if you're a home brewer, you kind of have a lot of the gear you need to pull this off already. Giant kettle, burners. Granted, he had like the super uber dual burner, Bayou Classic or Bayou burner or Banjo burner, whatever it was. But all things being equal, if you're home brewing, you have a lot of these things for outdoor large scale cooking. So can't stress enough how much you should just try it if you're interested. Another cool thing about that crawfish boil is the first time I ever met the artist Dwit in person, and that relationship has led to, among other things, this awesome new Chop and Brew logo. This is a local artist named Dwit, David Witt. He is the bomb. People are clamoring for the shirt. We're working on getting some of these made. This will be around the corner very soon, but all praise to Dwit for hooking up pro bono the Chop and Brew logo. I also want to thank all of you guys for watching. Get your crawfish boil on. Let us know how it goes. If you need any tips, like Chef Tim said, Cajun2go.com. Hit them up. Until you get your own crawfish boil on, chop for chop, brew for brew, crawl for crawl, cray for cray, Mudbugs. Coming up in the next episode of Chop and Brew.
You're bigger than your original gravity. You're more than just degrees bricks. Flavor isn't measured in IBUs, man. You're worth it. You're worth it, little bitter. You taste big. You taste as big as the sky. You're small in stature, but you got dreams. You're like the Rudy of English ales. Don't ever let anybody put you in a corner.
From Cajun Tim, Cajun to Go, and all of you.
Yeah, no, you all of you.
Excuse me. From Cajun Tim, Cajun to Go. Nope. From Chef Tim, Cajun to Go, to all of you. Chop to chop, brew to brew. What?
Chop for chop. Brew.
Oh, okay. See, I couldn't be an actor. From all of us at Cajun to Go, chop to chop.
Woo!
All right, chop for chop. Okay. From all of us at Cajun to Go, chop for chop, brew for brew. We'll see you on the bayou. Salute.